And so in this moment, I get to introduce you to someone who embodies revolutionary love in their being and in their breath. They are an internationally acclaimed poet, artist, visionary. They are someone who, as soon as they open their mouth, the words spill from their heart and seem to land directly into mine. They're not only about breaking the gender binary, but about reclaiming love in all of our movements. ALOK, I am so honored that you are here. Will you join us? Can I do that? I have loved you from afar for a very long time. I hope that's okay. I want to know, how is your heart in this moment?
My heart is broken, but that's a beautiful thing, because brokenness is an invitation to community. I like broken people because they're honest people, and we find ways to jigsaw brokenness together, don't
We do. And they're somehow strong once we do. Let's take a seat together. I want to know, as we're telling these stories in history, about when acts of love changed everything. When did an act of love change everything for you?
There's so many different stories that I was telling through thinking what would illustrate the transformative potential of love. And then I found myself actually finding a nameless figure. Once upon a time, someone had the decency to smile at me, and I didn't know their name, and that saved my life. As someone who insists on being beautiful, not very boring, I get punished for a lot. They treat me trash, insult me, assault me, throw trash at me. And it was one of those days where there was a lot of violence. Someone smiled instead. And I realized that I had two choices: focus on all the vitriol, or I could welcome something that was concurrently there, which is kindness. And that in order to live, I had to make that choice every day, to believe naively, and I believe naive people are the most gorgeous and brilliant people, to believe naively that I could step outside and someone would love me, not despite it, but because of it, because I had the decency to be beautiful in a world that would rather us be banal. And so the transformative love I felt was a sense of permission from a stranger. And I think strangers' love is often more intimate than people we've known our entire life, because they have no reason to love, and yet they do. I don't think that knowledge has to be necessary for intimacy. I don't think comprehension is a prerequisite for compassion. I think there's a kind of tenderness we can unlock when we allow ourselves to experience the beauty of one another again.
I want to slow down that moment of alchemy. When I was here thinking about Nanak, you take the pain of the world into your heart, you alchemize it, you render it into beauty and meaning and language, and that is what you do. And I know that labor comes at a cost. And so in those dark moments, can you give us an insight into what that alchemy looks like inside of you?
You and I think a lot about this word wonder. I think that the definitions of maturity that we inherit on this earth that teach us that being cynical is somehow a higher order way of thinking and perceiving the world is a farce. I think maturity is managing to grow up while still maintaining wonder as a World Heritage Site that has to be defended. And so what I do whenever I'm on the hands of someone else's projected self-hatred, if that's all violence is, where there is aggression, there is repression. Every act of violence is a confession of someone's shame and self-inadequacy. It has nothing to do with us. When I'm on the other side of it, I greet it and welcome it as an essential ingredient on what it means to be human, because there is no human without pain. We're an equal measure of beauty and pain. And I greet that old friend, pain, and I say, hey, what are you trying to teach me here? I get curious, rather than moving to a category or a word or an allegation or an accusation, saying, this is wrong, you are bad. I ask, what lovelessness were you shown that taught you that harming me would heal you? Because it won't. I know you're gonna go home and cry yourself to sleep. I know that you're not vulnerable enough to say you're jealous and envious because you thought you had to die and go to the kingdom of heaven to experience this rapture. I found a way to do it on a Tuesday afternoon. So I say it's rather cute and endearing that you think you can unsettle what is foundational. Do you think you can invert the world, turn it upside down? No, you can't break the spirit either. Like the water, I find a way to keep seeping through every confinement. So I meditate on the violence. I feel gratitude that I know and have learned that it has nothing to do with me. I think it's something that I've learned outside of language, so it's hard to describe. But it's this intrinsic sense I learned as a young person. The thing is, when you break the ultimate taboo, right? When you become out loud the things that people feel intimately, when you live other people's shadows, when you become what James Baldwin called an honest mirror, when you become a reflective surface, you see things that other people can't see, you feel things that other people can't feel. And I'm filled with this deep sense of mercy that so many people, specifically men, so many men think that stability comes from monopoly of violence, when in fact it's the very thing that's keeping them desperate and lonely. And so it's a felt sense that I think I learned as a child, maybe a superpower, to know this has nothing to do with me.
You see, like, nourished by you, nourished, and fortified by you, because when I hear you speak, I feel like these things I have learned, you give language to like that. And one of the things I've learned is that you are a part of me I do not yet know. Means, oh my grief, oh my rage, oh my pain, oh my fear. You are a part of me I do not yet know. The more I can learn how to mother the parts of myself that the world wants me to feel ashamed of or press way down, the more I can learn to mother them and accompany them. Even the hard parts contain the potential for insight and healing and transformation. The more I can do that in here, the more I'm able to do that out here. And perhaps the people who punish and press down and suffocate parts of themselves, it's so much easier to do that to those around them. And so it's an inside out, it's revolutionary love, but it begins from here. Is that what it has felt like for you?
You know, I would say that the most controversial pronoun that I have is not they, it's we. And I think we is actually the most political pronoun in the world. When I say we, I mean a motley crew of both my self-love and my self-hatred, my compassion and my rage, my frustration and my peace. The secret is we need all of it.
Yes.
We can't bubble bath our way into freedom. Sometimes we have to scream. Sometimes we have to writhe in pain and vomit. Sometimes freedom is feral and disgusting. Sometimes we need disgusting things. We have to learn how to integrate everything.
Sometimes it's bloody like birthing labor.
Totally. And so what I began to realize is that I was trying to resist the violence I was experiencing. I needed to believe a fantasy that there was such a thing as a pain-free world. And what was more painful was actually having to accept that a pain-free world is not a world I'm interested in being a part of. Pain is not the problem, it's that we don't have rituals to alchemize the pain. Pain is actually an essential ingredient of what it means to be human because the people that we love die, which means suffering is fundamental to life. There would be no meaning to life unless we were dying.
Yes.
Which means that grief is not the enemy. And we should say that to every political candidate and every warmonger. The enemy is your inability to reckon with grief, not grief. The enemy is not pain. It's your desire to anesthetize it and pretend that it doesn't exist. So when I use we as a pronoun, I ask myself, rather than trying to exile things that feel inconvenient, unruly, ridiculous, redundant, oblique, what if I find a way to become so big, so enormous, so cosmological that I can fold all of it into me? And so when people harm me, I become so big and I think, how could I have been that person harming me? How if I didn't have access to my ancestry, to my own goddamn stubbornness, to my own sense of style and ability? How if I didn't have access to those things could I have been you? And that's what helped me realize that they are me.
Yes.
I notice we often only identify with the good things in the world, the attributes that we admire in one another. But I think to do this work of oneness, as you called it, we have to actually reckon that within each of us is the potential to do tremendous harm.
Yes.
And instead, sometimes it feels like the left has become so righteous, it feels right, that it pretends like it's somehow above it all, above the fleshy earth, above all of its contradiction and foolishness. I suppose what I want when I say we is to say I am both the best and the worst parts of this earth, and I am lovable because of it.
And all parts of you are lovely. What Alok is speaking into is this revolution, as I hear it, it's evolution. It's like can all of us adopt this as a way of being human? Can human beings become humans who know how to love as a way of being all of here and all of here? What I'm so ignited by when I say this is a moment of possibility is that I do feel that there are more people now, as much as hateful and as violent as the world is right now, as oppressive as it is, there are more people awake now, searching, hungry for the medicine that you are naming. And they're coming in all kinds of ways and all kinds of voices.